All right, let's start today with a scenario that I think basically everyone listening has felt at some point. It's 10 p.m. on a Sunday. You're looking at your calendar for the week ahead, and you've got the meetings, the deadlines, maybe performance review coming up.
Yeah, the classic Sunday scaries.
Right. And there is this question that just sort of creeps in, uninvited.
The existential dread question.
Exactly. The what are we actually doing this for question. Like, is it for the pay bump? Is it for the title change? Is it to get that corner office where the plant might actually survive for once? Or is there something, I don't know, something less tangible that we're chasing?
It's the universal question of motivation, really. And usually, when we do a deep dive on this kind of topic, we're pulling from Harvard Business Review or maybe some dense psychology paper on extrinsic versus intrinsic rewards.
Right. The usual suspects.
But today we are looking somewhere a little unexpected.
We sure are. We're diving into a morning message delivered by Pastor Hu Zikhan, and this was recorded just recently, February 27, 2026.
And before anyone hits pause thinking they've accidentally downloaded a Sunday sermon, I really want to frame the mission here.
Yeah, that's important.
Yes, the source material is religious. It is a Christian devotional, but we are treating this text as a philosophy of work.
Right. We're stepping back and stripping it down to the core arguments. We want to look at how this text defines leadership, the psychology of what it calls awards, and honestly, a pretty radical definition of what a successful career actually looks like.
We're essentially unpacking that tension between merit, what we earn, and service, which is what we give. So whether you are religious, secular, or just trying to survive the corporate ladder without losing your soul.
Which is most of us.
Right. There's some fascinating wisdom in this material on how humans handle recognition. Right. We're just taking an impartial, observational stance to extract that wisdom.
So let's jump right in. The title of the message is literally awards, or the Chinese term used is banjiang.
Banjiang. Awards. It immediately conjures up an image, doesn't it? Like a stage, a spotlight, a handshake, maybe a piece of heavy glass they hand you.
Yeah, the classic corporate plaque.
Exactly. It's a moment of validation. But the text immediately sets up a conflict here. It suggests that there isn't just one type of labor we engage in. There are two.
Okay, walk me through the two types. I think this is where it gets really interesting.
So the first type is what the speaker calls building one's own kingdom.
Which sounds like the subtitle of basically every tech CEO biography I've ever read.
It really does. It is the labor of survival and status. Working to get that promotion within an organization, climbing the ladder, securing your territory. And interestingly, the speaker notes that you can do this even in religious settings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, climbing the ladder of a denomination. It's all just the hustle for personal consolidation.
So kingdom building is basically resume building. It's accumulating proof that you matter.
Correct. It's about defined borders. Like, this is my department, this is my salary band, this is my success. But the text contrasts this with a second type of labor, which is working for a crown of glory that never fades.
And that's a reference to a specific text, right?
Yeah, it's a reference to a biblical text, 1 Peter 5:4.
A crown of glory that never fades.
The core argument here is all about durability. All those earthly efforts, the promotion, the kingdom you built, they suffer from entropy. They fade.
Fading glory. I mean, it's poetic, but it's also just physics. Things degrade over time.
Yeah.
The company you build might get bought out. The awards you won gets put in a box in the garage.
Right. The only validation that matters in this worldview is the well done from the Savior Jesus.
But here's where the text gets psychologically fascinating for me. Because it mentions a specific image that completely flips the idea of an award on its head. It talks about receiving this ultimate prize, this crown, and then giving it back.
This is the paradox that really stops you in your tracks when you read it. The speaker references the book of Revelation, describing a scene where elders, basically people who have made it in the spiritual sense, the ultimate achievers, they cast their crowns at God's feet.
I really want to pause on that because it is so counterintuitive to how we operate in the workplace.
Oh, completely.
Just imagine working a lifetime, literally decades of grinding to earn a Lifetime Achievement Award. You get up on stage, they hand it to you, and you immediately throw it on the floor in front of someone else.
It sounds kind of insane to the modern ear. In a corporate setting, you frame the award. You update your LinkedIn profile picture holding it. You leverage it for a consulting gig or a board seat.
Right. You use the award to get more for yourself. So why cast it down? What's the logic he's presenting there?
It's presented as the ultimate act of humility, but also of accuracy. The argument is that you only achieved the thing because you were given the capacity to do it.
I see.
So the casting of the crown is an acknowledgement that the fuel, the talent, the opportunity, it was all alone. It wasn't really yours to begin with.
So the reward isn't the object itself. The reward is the fact that you were capable of serving well enough to receive it in the first place.
Precisely. It shifts the focus from acquisition, what can I get, to attribution, who enabled me to do this. It's a complete decentering of the ego.
And if you take that mindset into a leadership role, it changes everything about how you manage people. Which brings us to that Hua Ren Bi principle the speaker mentions.
Yes, this stood out. The speaker cites a pastor Hua Ren Bi, which likely refers to the theologian Warren Wiersbe, with a really specific quote on leadership: leading through serving and serving through suffering.
That last word is the kicker, suffering.
It is a heavy word.
Yeah. Leading through serving, I get. I mean, servant leadership is a massive buzzword now. We've all sat through the HR seminars on it. It's usually framed as buying donuts for the team or making sure everyone has the right software. But serving through suffering, you do not see that on a job description.
Definitely not.
Wanted. Senior manager. Must be proficient in Excel and willing to suffer.
It's a tough sell for recruitment. But think about what leadership actually feels like when it's done right. The text argues that you cannot truly serve a team or a flock, in pastoral sense, without absorbing their pain.
Absorbing it how? What does that look like in practice?
Well, think about organizational stress. When a deadline is missed, or a major client is angry, or the market just crashes, who takes the hit?
Usually the people at the bottom if the leader's bad.
Exactly. A bad leader deflects that stress downward to protect their own kingdom, but a true leader acts as a shock absorber. They take the stress, they metabolize it internally, and they project stability back to the team.
Wow.
And that process of metabolizing other people's stress, that represents suffering.
That is actually a really practical definition. It's intense emotional labor.
It is, and the text explicitly says that a leader's style dictates the organization's ups and downs. A leader has to have a lively personal relationship with their beliefs and a heart that genuinely cares for their teammates.
Because if you don't care, why would you ever willingly suffer for them?
Right. You just throw them under the bus to save your own skin, save your own kingdom.
The speaker actually throws out some pretty provocative questions to his audience right around here. He asks, is it unfair to suffer now for a future reward?
That is the absolute crux of delayed gratification, isn't it? But taken to a metaphysical level.
Yeah, because if you believe the reward is just a plastic plaque or a bonus at the end of the quarter, suffering feels like a really bad trade. Why be miserable for months just for a 3% raise?
The math just doesn't work out.
It really doesn't.
But if you believe the reward is this crown of glory, something that defines your character eternally, the calculus totally changes. He asks the listener, what reward do you want right now? It forces you to check your time horizon. Are you playing a quarterly game or an eternal one?
Speaking of quarterly games, I want to ground this a bit, because we've been talking about crowns and metaphysics, but the speaker anchors this message in a very specific real-world context.
He does. The date is important here. It's February 27th, 2026. In Taiwan, where this message originates, it's the start of the Peace Memorial Day holiday.
Right, February 28th.
Exactly. So everyone is about to go on a 2-day break. It's a moment of collective pause.
And to illustrate this whole award concept, he tells a story about his daughter.
Yes, his eldest daughter. She works at a bank. He describes it as having a mountain logo, which, for anyone familiar with Taiwan's corporate landscape, is almost certainly Yi-Sun Bank, named after Jade Mountain.
Okay, so a major, prestigious financial institution.
Very much so.
And she gets an award, a real, tangible corporate award.
She does. It's a commemorative plaque for 10 years of service. She's entering her 11th year there.
I love the inscription he described on the plaque. 10 years of spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Thank you for having you.
It's surprisingly poetic for a bank, isn't it? Thank you for having you.
It really is.
Yeah.
But let's look at that through the lens of the sermon he's giving. On one hand, he's clearly proud. He's a dad talking about his kid's milestone. But on the other hand, how does this plaque fit into his fading glory theory?
It is the perfect illustration of the dual reality he wants us to live in. The plaque is beautiful. It marks time. It acknowledges loyalty. The spring, summer, autumn, winter phrase emphasizes endurance. She stuck it out through the seasons, the good and the bad.
But at the end of the day, it's still just wood and glass.
Exactly. Compared to the crown that never fades, the plaque is strictly temporary. Eventually, she's going to retire. Eventually, that bank might not even exist. Eventually, the plaque just gets dusty on a shelf.
So he uses this not to diminish your achievement, but to pivot to his own career.
Right. This is where the mirror comes in. He holds up his own life.
The retirement question. I think anyone over 40 probably resonated with this part. He talks about being at a Lunar New Year gathering, the family's all together, and everyone is asking him the standard life script questions.
Right. When will you retire? Where will you live? Where will you travel?
It's the standard narrative of success. You work hard, you accumulate resources, and then you stop working so you can go enjoy yourself. That is the ultimate kingdom-building endgame.
And he completely rejects that narrative.
He does. He points out he's been in the exact same church for 35 years. He's not looking for a bigger house. He's not looking for more money or a better car.
And then he uses a phrase that really struck me. He identifies as a humble servant in a remote area.
A remote area. Now, hold on. This is the contradiction I found really fascinating. He calls himself a humble servant in a remote area while he is literally recording a message that goes out to the entire world via podcast.
It's deeply ironic.
He mentions YouTube channels. He's broadcasting globally every single day while claiming to be remote. Is that just false humility? Or is he redefining what remote actually means?
I think it's a perfect example of how modern technology changes the definition of service. He calls himself remote because geographically he isn't in the city center. He's not at the denominational headquarters. He doesn't have a seat of institutional power.
But his influence is anything but remote.
Exactly. He separates geography from impact. And notice how he frames the technology itself. He doesn't say, look at my subscriber count, or look at my reach. He calls the recording and the broadcasting a privilege given by God.
So it's not a platform for his ego.
No, it's a tool for his stewardship.
Stewardship. That is a crucial word in this whole breakdown. Because for him, glory isn't the number of downloads he gets. It's the opportunity to be a shepherd, even if he's doing it digitally.
And shepherd is a very loaded term in this text. He gets very specific about what his job actually entails. It's not just standing on a stage preaching on Sundays.
Right. He describes the role as being like a father, like a brother. He talks about dealing with bullying, workplace issues, family struggles. He implies he is deep in the trenches with his congregation.
It's that suffering part coming back again. He is actively carrying their burdens. If a congregant is being bullied at work, the shepherd feels that stress. He's guiding them through it. He's not sitting in some ivory tower issuing decrees. He's in the mud with them.
It connects right back to the idea that leadership isn't about the view from the top, but the work at the bottom.
Exactly.
But then he brings up a metric that I think is immensely helpful for anyone feeling competitive or left behind in their career. The talents.
Ah, yes. The famous parable of the talents.
For the listener who maybe didn't grow up going to Sunday school, give us the quick version of that story.
Sure. So in this biblical story, a master gives 3 of his servants different amounts of money, which were called talents back then, before he leaves town. One gets 5, one gets 2, one gets 1.
Okay.
When he comes back, he asks what they did with the money. The one who was given 5 made 5 more. The one with 2 made 2 more. And they both get the exact same praise from the master. Well done.
So the ROI percentage matters, but the absolute volume of wealth doesn't.
Exactly. Pastor Hu mentions 5,000 versus 300 talents. His argument is that the absolute metric doesn't matter. Whether you are managing vast wealth, high-end technology, and thousands of employees, or if you are doing cleaning duties and invisible, behind-the-scenes service.
The amount is irrelevant to the reward.
The criteria for the award is the heart and the attitude of the management. This is the great equalizer in his whole philosophy. You don't need to be the CEO, the 5,000 talents guy to get the crown. You just need to handle your 300 talents with the exact same fidelity.
I love that because it directly attacks the imposter syndrome a lot of us feel at work. We look at someone running a Fortune 500 company or launching a massive startup and we think, well, my work is basically meaningless compared to that.
And this philosophy says absolutely not. You just have a different allocation, but the test is the exact same. Are you a good steward of what you currently have?
And this is where he bridges the gap back to the listeners who probably aren't pastors. He actually stops and explicitly prays for them to succeed in their regular secular jobs.
I noted that too. He prays for listeners to receive affirmation from superiors and respect from colleagues.
That is such an important distinction. He is not saying, quit your corporate job and go live in a monastery. He's saying, get the plaque at the bank.
Yeah.
Get the respect from your boss. But don't mistake that plaque for the ultimate crown.
Precisely. It's about integration. You can strive for professional excellence. You can want that affirmation from superiors while maintaining this internal posture that your real boss is the one giving out the eternal crown.
It creates a kind of detachment, doesn't it? Which might actually make you a better employee in the long run.
How so? I think some people would assume detachment makes you care less about your job.
Not necessarily. If you aren't desperate for your manager's validation to define your entire self-worth, you can operate with a lot more clarity. You can serve without burning out from the constant anxiety of proving yourself. You can suffer through a tough project because your core identity isn't at risk, only your quarterly bonuses.
That is a really powerful reframing. You're playing two games at once, but you know which one actually matters more. The infinite game, to quote Simon Sinek.
Right. And that brings us back to the fragility he mentions towards the end of the message.
Yes, it gets a little somber there. He says, human life's fragility is not something you can control.
It is a heavy note to end on, but it really explains why he values the eternal reward over the earthly one. The earthly one is entirely subject to fragility. Markets crash, banks restructure, health fails unexpectedly.
Even the most successful career is fragile because it depends on so many external factors you have no control over.
Even a plaque that says spring, summer, autumn, winter implies the passing of time. Seasons change, winter always comes.
Exactly. If you anchor your identity in things that change, your job title, your salary, your company's stock price, your identity is inherently fragile. If the market goes down, you go down with it.
But if you anchor it elsewhere?
Right, if you anchor it in what he considers the crown that never fades, your character, your stewardship, your service to others, you become anti-fragile.
You can weather the storms of leadership. You can survive the boredom of a 35-year tenure in the same place. You can handle the stress of the bank job.
Because those things are just the setting, they aren't the actual story.
It really seems like he's inviting the audience to look at their lives not as a ladder to be climbed, but as a field to be worked.
That's a great way to put it, cultivation versus conquest.
So, if we zoom out from all of this, what does this all mean for you listening right now? We've gone from a corporate desk in Taiwan to a theological crown in heaven. How do we apply this on Monday morning?
I think the primary takeaway is about redefining your why. Whether you personally agree with the theology or not, the psychological mechanism he's describing is remarkably sound. If you are only working for the immediate award, the validation of others, you are basically on a treadmill that never stops.
You're building a kingdom that can be toppled by one bad email from the CEO.
Correct. But if you view your work as stewardship, caring for the people around you, handling your 300 talents with integrity, and serving even when it's uncomfortable, you are building something internal, something that doesn't fade when the office lights finally go out.
It's the difference between a resume and a legacy.
Beautifully put. A resume is for the kingdom you build. A legacy is the crown you cast down.
Wow. That is a lot to think about as we head into our own work weeks.
It certainly is.
So here is our final provocation for you, the listener. The text suggests that standard rewards fade and life is fragile. If that is true, what is the one thing you are building today right now in your current job that you would be willing to cast at someone's feet in gratitude? Not something you want to keep and hoard for yourself, but something good enough to give away.
That is the real question. Is your work just a possession or is it an offering?
Use the downtime, whether you're celebrating Peace Memorial Day or just on your regular commute, to mull that over. Check your awards shelf. See what is collecting dust and what actually shines. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
See you next time.